And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics, and now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday on Spreaker Radio, Roar 1776 Radio, Live 365 Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and we do all those from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and I'm on 405 Media Radio from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Time, in addition to countless terrestrial stations worldwide. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day, simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. You can call directly into the studio at area code 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. Now, in today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my expert contributors, John Hanson, that little old wine drinker, he'll be talking about food and wine. My special guest, well, that's going to be me, and I'm going to be talking about Social Security, or the future of Social Security, and 6 money-saving rules for a new economy. You know what? I've also got a special segment that I want to talk about here later on in the show, and that deals with a special gentleman. And I don't want to let this thing go before it should. But basically, I'm going to be talking about the healing of Sergeant Powell. You know what? Get your tissues ready, because it's going to make you teary-eyed. Now, get ready for news. But before that, at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 92 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 96, and I want to tell you, well, that's a whole lot better than the 108 we had on Friday. You can say that again. But you know what? We've got a lot of stuff to cover. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic day. So don't miss anything. It's going to be fantastic. So let's get right into the news. First off, rush hour Bangkok bombing at busy shrine kills 18 and hurts 117. A bomb exploded today within a central Bangkok shrine that is among the city's most popular tourist spots, killing at least 18 people and injuring more than 100 across a hectic intersection surrounded by 5-star hotels and upscale shopping malls. With a powerful flash caught on security video and a boom heard blocks away, the blast from the improvised explosive device scattered body parts across a Raprashong intersection, spattered blood, blasted windows, and burned motorbikes to the metal. It exploded during evening rush hour as the area was filled with tourists, office workers, and shoppers. Suddenly, there was a big boom, and the whole room just shook like someone dropped a wrecking ball on top of our ceiling, said Pim Niwawaman, an English instructor working on the 8th floor of the building right next to the shrine. The whole building just shook. My 4 students were hysterical. Video shortly after the blast depicts a scene of shock and desperation, people running for their lives and crying amid the debris, an emergency worker in an ambulance frantically pounding the chest of a victim. No one immediately claimed responsibility for the bombing. You know what? Don't you get tired of hearing this kind of news? Boy, I do. It's just really depressing. Well, Trump immigration proposal divides the GOP presidential field. Donald Trump is dividing his Republican presidential rivals anew with his call to rewrite the Constitution to crack down on millions of immigrants living in the United States illegally, and excuse me, and to force Mexico to pay for a better border fence. Scott Walker embraced some of the plan today, but other contenders such as Chris Christie and Carly Fiorina dismissed elements as unworkable. Trump's immigration proposal, his first formal policy plan since announcing his candidacy in June, won praise today from the GOP's conservative Tea Partiers, some of whom favor changing the Constitution to reverse the birthright citizenship guaranteed to anyone born in the United States, no matter the status of their parents. At the same time, surveys show a majority of Americans, including Republicans, support allowing many immigrants in the United States illegally to stay. Trump leads his Republican rivals in national polls, and his proposal quickly reverberated within the party, which has struggled with the issue of immigration. Party leaders are determined to expand the GOP's appeal with Hispanics after the 2012 election, in which Mitt Romney won just 27% of the Latino vote. But many Republicans have adopted a hardline approach on immigrants, appealing to the party's core voters who play an oversized role in nominating primaries and caucuses. Asked at the Iowa State Fair on Monday, or today I should say, if he supports building a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border, as Trump has proposed, Wisconsin Governor Walker gave a quick yes, but he declined to address whether he supports deporting children of parents in the country illegally. Going forward, the best thing we can do is embrace the law, he said. Well, you know what? What they're not saying is what Trump said is you can't break the families up. The people that came here illegally have to go back, and you don't want to break them up from their families. He says you send them all back, including the ones that are American citizens, and then you bring them back legally. That makes a lot of sense to me if you think about it. Now, that doesn't mean the kids are not American citizens. That just means you bring them back legally, and that's really where you got to go with this thing. So, you know what? I don't know how you feel about it. I don't see them even possibly being able to get any kind of a constitutional change going on here. It's just not in the works, I don't think. So when you think about this thing, give that some thought too. Every time you hear that somebody wants to change the Constitution, that's just not so easy to do, folks. You don't just change the Constitution, and I don't think it should be easy to do. Let me know what you think. How about this? Pentagon plans to increase drone flights by 50%. Faced with escalating aggression from Russia and China, the Pentagon is planning to increase its use of drones by about 50% over the next several years, using the Army and civilian contractors to put more of the unmanned aircraft in the air. The decision to add Army and civilian-operated missions to the mix was triggered because the Air Force, which had been running about 65 combat air patrol missions a day, asked to decrease that number to 60 because of stress on the force. But 60 patrols don't come close to meeting the demands of top military commanders facing growing security threats around the world. Senior U.S. officials said that while drones have been used largely to target terrorists and collect intelligence over combat zones, those needs may shift in the coming years. Top military leaders, including the incoming chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, have named Russia as the nation's most serious security threat, and China's rising military power and island-building program in the South China Sea have increased tensions and prompted a greater demand for U.S. surveillance and intelligence across the Pacific. Now, we're going to take a small break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk about states raising taxes, fees, and debt to pay for road repairs. What do you think about that? Think about it, and I'll talk to you about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, and we're talking news. Well, states are raising taxes, fees, and debt to pay for road repairs. Here we go. While Congress remains stalled on a long-term plan for funding highways, state lawmakers and governors aren't waiting around. Nearly one-third of the states have approved measures this year that could collectively raise billions of dollars through higher fuel taxes, vehicle fees, and bonds to repair old bridges and roads and relieve traffic congestion, according to an analysis by the Associated Press. The surge of activity means at least half of the states, from coast to coast in both Republican and Democrat areas, now have passed transportation funding measures since 2013. And the movement may not be done yet. Tennessee's governor is in the midst of a 15-city tour highlighting the state's transportation needs. North Carolina lawmakers are debating a road bonding proposal, and legislatures are returning to work this week in California and Michigan with transportation funding on the agenda. I don't know of a state that's not having the conversation about raising revenue or transportation, said Iowa Transportation Director Paul Trombino III, who is vice president of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, and whose home state recently raised fuel taxes by 10 cents a gallon. The widespread focus on transportation funding comes as state officials are becoming frustrated by federal inaction in helping to repair roads and bridges described as crumbling, aging, and unsafe. You know, about 20% of the nation's 900,000 miles of interstates and major roads need resurfacing or reconstruction, according to one analysis of federal data. A quarter of the 600,000 bridges are considered structurally deficient or functionally obsolete. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are about to fail. It means they are showing worrisome problems or are no longer adequate for today's traffic. There's a lot of voices that say, let's push this off, said Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam, whose call for more transportation funding has been opposed by some fellow Republicans, but the need is not going away. We're going to have to do something to address this. In many states, the new money is going primarily toward repairing old infrastructure, though some projects, such as a new 4-lane US 20 across Iowa, are designed to ease congestion so that the commerce can flow more freely. You know what? Maybe it's true. We should let the states take care of these things and have smaller government in Washington, D.C. And if we have smaller government in Washington, D.C., maybe we're paying those guys in Washington, D.C. too much for a job they're already not doing. Think about it. Well, Trump takes a detour off the trail, reports for jury duty. Donald Trump pulled up in a long black limousine and gave a very presidential wave as he made his way into the building. Then, the billionaire promptly found himself seated next to ordinary, wage-earning, subway-riding New Yorkers forced to wait, and wait some more for the wheels of justice to turn. The Republican presidential candidate reported for jury duty in Manhattan today and spent much of the day like everyone else, filling out forms and wondering whether he would get picked. By late afternoon, he was released without getting selected for a trial, his civic obligation fulfilled. Trump had high praise for the public servants at the courthouse, saying, "The people in the court system are really professional. It was an honor to see how it worked." Well, and now he's out of it and he can go back to start campaigning again, I guess, huh? It seems right to me. Hey, you know what? But the guy went, didn't he? Now, reluctant Kentucky clerk gets time for gay marriage appeal. A federal judge today gave a Kentucky county clerk room to continue denying marriage licenses to gays and lesbians while she takes her religious objections case to an appellate court. U.S. District Court Judge David Bunning ordered Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis last week to issue licenses to 2 gay couples and ruled today that she is not entitled to any more delays. But because emotions are running high on both sides of this debate, he also stayed his decision while she takes her case to the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Attorneys on both sides disagreed about the implications. Dad Cannon, representing the gay couples, said Davis remains under the judge's order, but Matt Staver, who represents Davis and is the founder of Florida-based Liberty Counsel, said the convoluted order essentially grants her request for more time. Well, you know what? If it weren't for objections, I guess nothing would happen, right? That's all we get in Washington, D.C. these days anyway. Well, an Indonesian plane debris seen carried 54 people. Government crash. Here's the thing. An airplane with 54 people on board that crashed in the mountains of eastern Indonesia was carrying nearly $500,000 in government cash for poor families to help offset a spike of fuel prices, an official said today. Smoldering wreckage of the Trigana Air Service turboprop plane was spotted from the air this morning, in a rugged area of the easternmost province of Papua. Rescue officials said there was no immediate word of any survivors from Sunday's crash, which happened in bad weather. 4 postal workers aboard the plane were escorting 4 bags of cash totaling $468,750 in government fuel aid. Franciscus Hariono, the head of the post office in Jayapura, the provincial capital, told the Associated Press. There is just no real good news, is there? Well, Labor Board blocks effort to unionize college athletes. The National Labor Relations Board today blocked a historic bid by Northwestern University football players to form the nation's first college athletes union, dealing a blow to a labor movement that could have transformed amateur sports. In a unanimous decision, the board said the prospect of union and non-union teams in college could lead to different standards at different schools, from how much money players receive to how much time they practice, and create competitive imbalances on the field. The new ruling annuls a 2014 decision by a regional NLRB director in Chicago who said scholarship football players are employees under U.S. law and thus entitled to organize. But today's decision did not directly address the question of whether the players are employees. Some observers said the ruling effectively ends any chance to establish labor unions in college athletics. This puts the nail in the coffin of organizing college players, said Ronald Meisberg, a former attorney for the NLRB and one-time board member. Tim Walters of the United Steelworkers Union, which helped bankroll the union drive, disagreed. It is a bump in the road, Waters said. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, you got it. we're going to talk about the IRS losers. In the first case, a never profitable business actually had a profit motive. And I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Let's get into this favorite part of my show. The
story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
This sends the chills up and down my spine. It puts a smile on my face at the same time. And this is the area we call the IRS losers. And the first case up here is a never profitable business actually had a profit motive. Let me tell you about it. A corporate executive whose family loved horses bought a farm and used it to run a business boarding horses, but it lost money for 8 years, ranging from $36,000 to $94,000 annually over that time until he decided to sell the farm. He deducted all of the losses against his regular income, but The IRS disallowed the deduction, saying he never had a profit motive in running the farm. So he went to court for some justice, and this is what the judge said. The executive actually did board horses at commercial rates, hired employees to tend the horses, worked every weekend on the farm himself, kept full business records, and had a credible business plan. This all indicated that he did have a profit motive, so the deductions are absolutely allowed, and the IRS, is reversed. How about this? The IRS loses. A company's houseboat and dock not taxed to its owner. Let me tell you about it. Now, Daniel Reeves owned VMI Incorporated, a small operating business. He bought a house on a lake and then behind it built a houseboat, a floating garage to hold the boat and jet skis, and a dock. He paid $81,000 of the cost. VMI paid $187,000, and they were co-owners. Now, VMI used the houseboat facilities for business meetings, but failed to keep records of business use, so it lost its deductions for him. The IRS then treated VMI's share of the cost of the facilities as a taxable dividend to Reeves. Reeves went to court. This is what the judge said. Reeves's payment of $81,000 entitled him to use the facilities, and the IRS hadn't shown that he had done so excessively, so no dividend is proved. And by the way, when he's talking about dividends here, they're talking about that old saying, double taxation for corporations. That's where they're at with this thing. Here's another case where the IRS lost. Disability insurance benefits are tax-free. Yeah, get this. Richard Kotler owned his own business, which had a group disability insurance policy that covered him. He later became disabled, closed his firm, and filed for disability. He said that the disability payments were tax-free, but the IRS said that they were taxable to him because his firm had paid the premiums for him. He hadn't paid them personally. So he went to court. This is what the judge said. To keep the firm from improperly paying his personal expenses, Kotler had annually reimbursed the company for all personal items that it had paid on his behalf by deducting the amount of the expenses from other amounts the firm owed him. He included the premiums in these items, so he had, in fact, paid them himself, making the benefits. Yep, tax-free. You got to love this stuff, right? This just sends chills up and down your spine. Oh, yeah. Have you ever wanted to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is making decisions or they're doing things? Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. You know, this is not tax law. This is just decisions that they've made and they've actually followed through on that you can use to your benefit if it's applicable. First up, the most efficient way to obtain a tax-related criminal conviction. Yeah, I know you're really interested in that, right? The IRS has figured it out, is to charge a violation of non-payment of payroll taxes or fraudulent preparation of payroll tax returns. Small business owners are especially susceptible to being targeted for criminal prosecution, as these businesses often employ workers who are paid off the books. Now, in cash, and other workers who are arbitrarily treated as independent contractors. Now, restaurants and contractors employ millions of workers who, for whom payroll taxes are just never paid. Latest development, large employers are being hit. Let me give you an example. Blackwater Worldwide, which provides security personnel to the United States government in Iraq, is being targeted by Congress for allegedly evading more than $50 million of payroll taxes. Now, I expect the IRS is not going to be too far behind the Congress in this one. How about this? Examination of offshore bank accounts gets the IRS's attention. The IRS has reported that it is investigating more than 100 taxpayers who may be hiding assets in accounts in Liechtenstein. Now, the Liechtenstein Global Trust Bank is the institution that apparently was complicit in money laundering activities of the targeted taxpayers. How did the scheme may have worked? Well, instead of getting paid for services for the sale of property, the account holders arranged to have money deposited into their offshore account. The bank issued a credit or debit card permitting account holders to withdraw cash or make purchases. The investment income earned from the assets was not reported on tax returns, nor was it findable. and that's what was going on. So you know what? You always, always, always want to be careful about those kinds of issues. Now, do not go away, because right after this commercial break, I'm going to be talking to you about Social Security and what's going on right now and what's going to happen in the future. And I'm also going to discuss with you some money-saving tips and much more. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after these brief messages. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:32 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 92 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? I want to talk to you a little bit about Social Security. You know, there's some things to know about Social Security at 80 years old. I think it's time to overhaul Social Security. Matter of fact, it's way past time to overhaul Social Security. You know, Social Security turned 80 last Friday, and the massive retirement and disability program is showing its age, you know. Social Security's disability fund is projected to run dry next year. The retirement fund has enough money to pay full benefits until 2035, but once the fund is depleted, the shortfall is projected to be enormous. The stakes are huge. Nearly 60 million retirees, disabled workers, spouses, and children get monthly Social Security payments, and that number that is projected to grow to 90 million over the next 2 decades. And the timing's bad. Social Security faces these problems as fewer employees are offering traditional pensions. I should say employers are offering traditional pensions, forcing older workers to think hard about how they will afford retirement. This is a program that's been immensely popular since it began, said Nancy Limon, Executive Vice President of AARP. Increasingly, people recognize that saving for retirement is becoming harder and harder, and Social Security is becoming even more important. Now, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act on August the 14th, 1935. Now, here are some things to know about the federal government's largest program on its 80th birthday. So, why is Social Security at risk? Well, Social Security's long-term financial problems are largely a result of demographic changes. Every day, about 10,000 people in the United States turn 65. These are the baby boomers. Now, typical boomers, however, didn't have as many children as their parents did. As a result, relatively fewer workers are left to pay the payroll taxes that support Social Security. In 1960, there were more than 5 workers for every person receiving Social Security. Today, there are fewer than 3. In 20 years, there will be about 2 workers for every person getting benefits. Americans are also living longer. In 1940, someone who was 65 could be expected to live about 14 more years on average. Today, they can expect to live an additional 20 years on average. So the benefits? Well, last year, Social Security paid benefits of nearly $850 billion, about a quarter of all federal spending. The average monthly payment is $1,221. That comes to about $14,700 a year. For most retirees, Social Security accounts for the majority of their income, according to the Social Security Administration. So what happens in 2016? Well, the trust fund that supports Social Security's disability program is projected to run dry in late 2016, right in the middle of the presidential election. If Congress allows that to happen, it will trigger an automatic 19% cut in benefits to the 11 million people who receive Social Security disability. Now, lawmakers could redirect tax revenue from Social Security's much bigger retirement program, as they've done in the past. If the tax revenue were redirected, the retirement fund would lose 1 year of solvency. So both the retirement program and the disability program would have enough money to pay full benefits until 2034. At that point, Social Security would collect enough in taxes to pay 79% of benefits. Republicans are balking at the fix. They see the funding crisis as an opportunity to improve a disability program that they believe is plagued by waste and abuse. Social Security retirement funds have been raided far too many times for far too many years, said Representative Tom Reed, a Republican from New York. Reed sponsored a rule adopted by House Republicans that would prevent the House from redirecting the tax revenue without making changes to improve the overall financial health of Social Security. Democrats are much more eager to defend the disability program, noting that its modest benefits keep millions of disabled workers and their families out of poverty. The issue is whether you're going to cut services and benefits to Americans who paid for them by saying that the Social Security program doesn't have the money, when in fact it has nearly $3 trillion, said Representative Xavier Becerra, a Democrat from California. It manufactures a crisis. Becerra has introduced a bill that would merge Social Security's trust funds. How big is the long-term problem? Well, the numbers are beyond comprehension. Social Security uses a 75-year window to forecast its finances, so the projections cover the life expectancy of every worker paying into the system. Over the next 75 years, Social Security is projected to pay out $156 trillion more in benefits than it will collect in taxes, according to the agency data. That's not a typo. Adjusted for inflation, the shortfall comes to $35.3 trillion in 2015. Now, that's nearly twice the national debt, which took the entire federal government 239 years to accumulate. Did Congress already spend the trust funds? Yeah, they did. For much of the past 3 decades, Social Security produced big surpluses, collecting more in taxes than it paid in benefits. Social Security invested those surpluses in special U.S. Treasury bonds, which are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. They are now valued at $2.8 trillion. But as Social Security was generating surpluses, the rest of the federal government was running deficits. For all but a few years around the turn of the century, to deficit spending, the Treasury borrowed from the public and from other federal programs, including Social Security. Well, didn't Congress fix Social Security under Reagan? Yeah, they did. Social Security was on the brink of insolvency in the early 1980s when Congress and President Ronald Reagan agreed to gradually increase payroll taxes and to reduce benefits, in part by gradually raising the retirement age. Now, those changes didn't permanently fix Social Security, but they provided enough revenue to pay full benefits for about 50 years. Now, in today's political climate, another feat like that would be historic. I think it's time that if you're on Social Security, you better be talking to your lawmakers. These are guys we pay over $200,000 a year and give them full retirement benefits, and they're going to want to try and take benefits away from you and me and everybody else that actually paid for these. Don't you think there's something wrong with that? Yeah, I do too. Well, let's talk about 6 money-saving rules for the new economy. Here's the deal. The new economy requires some new approaches for managing our money and our lives. Now, here are my favorite money-saving strategies. First off, join the $4 a gallon savings club. When gas hit $4 a gallon, we all complained about it, but for the most part, we adjusted our household budgets to accommodate it, and most important, we actually started to drive less for the first time in decades. As a result, demand decreased and Mother Earth breathed a little easier. Now that gas prices are back down, let's not go back to our old driving habits. Instead, join the $4 a gallon savings club. Every time you fill up, calculate the difference between what you pay at the pump and what it would have cost you if you had paid $4 a gallon. Then deposit that amount in your savings club envelope. It'll encourage you to continue to go light on the gas pedal and help keep down demand for gasoline and maybe prices and allow you to save some money as well. Since gas prices fell below $4 a gallon, I have squirreled away more than $700 in my savings club envelope. Well, how about number 2? Conduct a financial fire drill. Don't wait to be blindsided by unpleasant financial news. Spend a Sunday afternoon conducting a financial fire drill. Brainstorm various worst-case scenarios, job loss, continued declines in the stock market, loss of health care insurance, and how you would handle each of those things. For scenarios that seem the most thorny, you can decide to research solutions either online or at the library or by talking with a financial professional. Be sure to involve your family in your discussions. I have found that when you get things out in the open, they usually are not as scary as they seemed before, and you tend to sleep a lot better because of it. Well, number 3, barter. Bartering is the ancient practice of swapping goods and services rather than paying for them. Check out the swapping going on at websites such as Craigslist.org or join one of the growing number of online bartering clubs such as Barterbot.com. Recent online swaps include a used laptop computer traded for a cache of home brewing supplies, a website designer trading her services for a week's stay at a vacation cottage on the Gulf Coast, and 2 radial tires for a pair of concert tickets. Many online bartering clubs allow you to trade goods and services for club credits. Then you can trade the credits instead of specific goods or services with club members who are offering something that you want. But you got to be careful. Consult IRS Publication 525, that's taxable and non-taxable income, to determine the tax consequences of your bartering. Now go to www.irs.gov to download the consequences, or download the publication at any event, for free. Now, number 4, always put off until tomorrow what you could buy today. Here's where procrastination pays off. Studies have shown that most of us eventually regret more than half of all of the discretionary purchases that we make Wait at least 1 week between the time that you're first tempted to buy an item and when you actually go back to buy it. Odds are good that you'll never go back to buy it. Also, make a list of the things that you bought recently that you could have done without. Take a look at the list before you go shopping. It might curb your impulse buying. Number 5, grow your own. It's time to bring back victory gardens, those small vegetable gardens that helped families through the 2 world wars. Even a 4x4 raised bed garden in the backyard can produce lots of fresh produce in season. A few dollars worth of seeds easily can quadruple your investment. If you don't have space for a garden, consider growing a pot or 2 of herbs on the kitchen windowsill and patio variety tomatoes and cucumbers in containers out on the deck. You know, more and more cities and towns have community gardens where you can get your own little plot for a season for a nominal fee. To find a garden near you or to learn how to start one, go to www.communitygarden.org. Community-supported agriculture, CSA programs, allow you to buy shares of the harvest from local farms. CSA shares sometimes can be pricey and veggies quantities overwhelming, so research the options and consider splitting a share with your neighbors. Many CSA farms also offer volunteer opportunities to help with the gardening. For farms near you, go to www.localharvest.org. And then finally, ask and you might receive. In tough times such as these, customers gain bargaining muscle when it comes to negotiating better prices on goods and services. A study by the Consumer Reports National Research Center found that more than 90% of those who got up the nerve to ask for a discount on purchases such as electronics, appliances, furniture, and even medical expenses reported receiving a price concession at least once, and the average savings was $50 or more. The key is always to be friendly and polite when asking for a better price or other concession, even if you're unhappy with the service that you've been receiving or the condition of the merchandise. Just ask nicely. Also, go into the store knowing the price that you are willing to pay. Don't be afraid to say, no thanks, and look elsewhere if you need to do that. Now, do not go away, because I want to tell you, when I come back, you guys better have your tissues ready, because I'm going to yank at your heartstrings. We're going to talk about the healing of Sergeant Powell. Sergeant Marshall Powell returned from Iraq haunted by a little girl's death. He suffered not only from PTSD, but also from a psychological wound called moral injury. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, I promised this to you. I want you to make sure that you've got plenty of tissues next to you. You're going to need them. We're going to talk about the healing of Sergeant Powell. Well, you heard me say it before. Sergeant Marshall Powell returned from Iraq haunted by a little girl's death. He suffered not only from PTSD, but also from a psychological wound called moral injury. You know, it was just another day in Mosul. The soldier began, his voice shaking. Sergeant First Class Marshall Powell took a deep breath. He couldn't look at the other 3 servicemen seated around him in therapy. He'd rarely spoken about his secret, the story of the little girl who wound up in his hospital during the war in Iraq, where he served as an Army nurse. Her chest had been blown apart, and her brown eyes implored him for help. Whenever he'd thought of her since, "I killed the girl," echoed in his head. Powell kept his eyes glued to the pages he'd written and tried to steady his nerves. He cleared his throat. He recalled the chaos after a bombing that August day in 2007. The vehicles roaring up with Iraqi civilians covered in blood, the hospital hallways overflowing with wounded and dead. The air had smelled of burnt flesh. Around midnight, Powell took charge of the area housing those with little chance of survival. There, amid the mangled bodies, he saw her. She was tiny, maybe 6 years old, lying on a blanket on the floor. Her angelic face reminded him of his niece back home in Oklahoma. Back in the therapy room, saying it all out loud, Powell's eyes began to fill just at the memory of her. "I couldn't let her lay there and suffer," he said. A doctor had filled a syringe with painkillers. Powell pushed dose after dose into the child's IV. "She smiled at me," he told the others in the room, and I smiled back. Then she took her last gasp of air. Before the war, Sergeant Powell's very core was built on God and faith and saving lives, not doing anything that could end one. He lost his purpose when the little girl died, and he found himself in a nondescript room in San Diego Naval Base, trying desperately to save his own crumbling existence. Surrounding him that day were other veterans who had suffered as he suffered, an Army staff sergeant who stood frozen in shock, unable to offer aid to a fellow soldier whose legs were severed in an explosion in Afghanistan, a Marine whose junior comrade was fatally shot after he'd convinced him to switch posts in Iraq, a Navy man who beat an Iraqi citizen in anger after a boy who appeared to be the man's son opened fire on his squad. Like Powell, they'd spent years torturing themselves over facts that tortured their conscience. Souls in anguish. is how some experts describe this psychological scar of war now being identified as moral injury. Unlike post-traumatic stress disorder, which is based on fear from feeling one's life threatened, moral injury is when combat veterans are consumed with guilt and shame from something that they did or witnessed that goes against their values or may even be a crime. The term was introduced in the 1990s by a now retired Department of Veterans Affairs psychiatrist, Dr. Jonathan Shea, who recognized the problem in Vietnam veterans that he was treating. While the idea of warriors feeling remorse over battlefield horrors is not new, moral injury has gained more attention following the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, as mental health providers point to it as a reason why veterans aren't improving with PTSD treatments. More than 390,000 veterans of those conflicts have sought help through the VA for PTSD. The VA website includes a page dedicated to moral injury, and the Navy now runs one of the military's first residential treatment programs that addresses the problem. The one that Powell found, still debate persists over whether moral injury is a part of PTSD or its own separate condition. There's no formal diagnosis for it, and no one knows how many veterans may suffer from it. PTSD sufferers can find relief with prescription drugs and private counseling that encourages relief, or reliving, actually, the triggering incident to work through the fear. But if the person considers what happened to be morally wrong, reliving it may only reaffirm that belief. Psychologists have found the self-punishment stops when veterans learn the deed does not define who they are. Veterans, the experts suggest, find comfort in sharing with each other because only those who've experienced war can truly understand the complexity of morality on the battlefield. A psychiatrist may say they understand, but they don't really, says Elvin Carey of Murrieta, California, whose fellow Marine died after the two switched places. We're comrades with a mutual suffering, a brotherhood. The pain brings everyone together and creates a bond that no one can break. Sergeant Powell is a friendly man with a warm smile who finds peace working the land on his family's farm outside Tiny Crescent, Oklahoma. He wanted to share his story because he hoped it might prompt other veterans to seek help. And while he's always blamed himself for the girl's death, 3 toxicology experts say the amount of Demerol and morphine that he administered, 20 milligrams altogether, is not unheard of in caring for dying children. Her injuries, not the drugs, likely caused her death, they say. By the time Powell arrived in San Diego in February of 2014, he was on therapist number 5 and contemplating suicide. His wife, also a soldier who served in Iraq, had received treatment for PTSD and couldn't understand why her husband wasn't better. Neither had heard of moral injury. Powell, then 56, knew only that the beliefs that had shaped his life were shattered. He was raised on the idea that God has a reason for everything. It was the mantra his family drew strength from in the race of poverty and racism in rural Crescent. The old slave song sung at the Clapboard Zion Baptist Church spoke of it too. When a man's down, if he stays down, he done lay down, Powell's older brother Bob said once when young Marshall flopped down on the porch, upset over being called a racist slur at school. You need to get on up from there. He learned to pick himself up from even the darkest depths. Bob's death in a car accident, time spent sleeping homeless on the streets. He found the Army and nursing and grew to love both. But the girl was something he couldn't get back up from. Months after her death at the 28th Combat Support Hospital in Mosul, Powell was sent back stateside to Hawaii. Soon, she was appearing in his dreams. Her death left him questioning God and himself, most of all. Powell started drinking and sought help for PTSD. He was prescribed pills for insomnia, depression, and anxiety. But he says, I couldn't beat it. After 6 years, a therapist recommended the program at Naval Medical Center San Diego called Overcoming Adversity and Stress Injury Support, or OASIS. The program started in 2010 with the aim to help service members not finding success with PTSD treatments. 3 years later, Therapies addressing moral injury were added after clinicians determined it was a leading reason why the troops were still struggling. During the program, veterans get one-on-one counseling and sleep therapy to deal with their PTSD, but to address the soul wounds specifically, therapists use what's called adaptive disclosure therapy, which involves asking patients to reveal their triggering incident to other veterans also seeking to recover. 7 other servicemen were part of Powell's 10-week session. After the second week, the veterans were asked to put in writing what had triggered their moral injuries. The men had known each other for a month when they were divided into 2 groups to share their stories. They vowed not to lie. When Powell was finished, the men in the room were silent at first. Among them was Carrie, who listened to Powell, felt a real connection to someone for the first time in years. Stephen Velez was there too, flashing back to his time as an Army staff sergeant in Afghanistan when he was too traumatized to help his comrade. He stood and shook Powell's hand. "You did your best," he said. "You didn't do anything wrong." In the program's final weeks, Powell and the other men were told to write a letter of apology or reconciliation as a way to finally find self-forgiveness. Powell addressed his to the little girl's parents. He'd never met the couple who knew if they survived the bombing, so the letter went nowhere, but it helped to put down the words and read them aloud to his fellow veterans. "I want you to know," he wrote, "your daughter has been in my heart each day since that night." A year ago, April, Powell left Oasis with new tools and hope and friends that he could always lean on. He was honorably discharged from the Army last August, an Army-proud vet with a Bronze Star for serving as the only medical provider at the outpost in Afghanistan. He'd been deployed there in 2012. After his treatment ended, he tried nursing again, taking a job at a home for the elderly in Crescent. He quit 2 months later as a woman he'd grown close to died. Now he's pursuing a degree in industrial engineering. He also finds ways to give back to his community, which helps him feel better about himself. To give dignity to the dead, he's been cleaning up a weed-covered cemetery where former slaves, including his great-great-grandmother, are buried. Powell's wife, Arazi, says he has stopped drinking and seems different. "I notice a change," she said recently as she watched her husband cut brush on the family's farmland. "I think if he don't work, his mind is, I don't know." Whenever he can, he heads to those fields. Sometimes he talks to God as he clears the brush and around the walnut trees. "I feel peace, redemption when I talk to him out there," he says. I know he forgives me." Powell has finally forgiven himself too, but he knows he's not entirely healed. When his self-doubt returns, he runs down to a list of challenging questions he brought home with him from Oasis. Is your belief a habit or based on facts? Are you taking the situation out of context and only focusing on the aspect of the event? He still takes medication for anxiety, depression, and insomnia, but more than anything, he learns on the 7 men who went through the treatment with him. My brothers, he calls them. Their cell phones have become a lifeline with daily texts and pleas for help. "At least I'm not alone," Powell texted the group one sleepless night. The Associated Press shared with Powell the medical expert's opinions that the girl's injuries, not the painkillers, likely caused her death. Says one Bruce Goldberger, professor of toxicology at the University of Florida College of Medicine, what he did probably was relieve the pain like they do in hospice care. His comments were echoed by Dr. Alicia Liebelt, professor of pediatrics and emergency medicine at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and Dr. Richard Clark, director of the Division of Medical Toxicology at the University of California in San Diego. Hearing that brought relief for Powell. "It's something I've been carrying on my back for so many years, that guilty feeling," he says. The girl still comes to him at times in his dreams. Not long ago, he envisioned her running through a pasture. Powell yelled at her not to leave, but he can put a distance between who he is now and what happened then. And when his heart races and the anxiety returns, he stops to remind himself that he's not a bad person. He was just in a bad situation. "It will never go away," he says. "Now I know how to deal with it." How sad. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to be with our own John Hanson, that little old wine drinker, right after these brief messages. We'll be right back. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:06 p.m. Pacific time, currently 91 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know, you may think that's hot, but you know, last Friday at this time it was 108 degrees. I'm thinking I might go out and get a sweater. But you know what, talking about heat, boy, I want to tell you, my next buddy that's coming on, my expert contributor, he's as hot as it comes when it comes to knowledge about food and wine and what's going on in the culinary world today. And you know what? I ought to just stop talking about it and let him talk about it. Let's get him in here so we can have a really great conversation.
When they ask who's a fool in the corner crying, I say, a little old wine drinker me.
And now, from the middle of a vineyard somewhere, a man who's never met a grape he couldn't cuddle up to, our resident advanced sommelier, John Hanson. Hey, John, welcome aboard. How was your weekend, my friend?
Oh, my weekend was great.
You know what? I actually am reticent to ask you how your weekend is because you're in an industry where you work your weekend.
You know, believe it or not, we had a big thing at Disney. It's called D23, and actually I had to work 6 days this week, 6 days straight. It was just crazy. We had big celebrities. We had Randy Newman, Johnny Depp. We had all the big execs, Bob Iger, you know, all in, and it was just crazy down there. And I tell you, I was driving past the Anaheim Convention Center in the morning, and I never saw a line so long in my entire life. It actually wrapped right around the convention center. It reminds me of a time when we were in Venice, when we went to visit the Vatican, where the line was wrapped all around the actual brick wall. It was just crazy. I mean,
you mean Rome, not Venice.
Out there. I'm sorry?
You mean Rome, not Venice.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rome. Did I say Venice? Yes, Rome. Yeah, it was just amazing. It was crazy, crazy busy at Disney. And I tell you, I finally got a day off today, and what just
well, now here's the
great.
fun part about this conversation that you're not talking about. When you talk about, you throw out names like Johnny Depp. What most of our listeners don't know is that when Johnny Depp comes out to Disney, the only person he's going to let service him is you.
That's true, and it's funny because honestly, I don't know how. I don't think I would want to live his life, tell you the truth. I mean, wherever he goes, people just flock him. He has 2 bodyguards. It's just crazy. Incredible guy, super guy, one of the most polite individuals I ever met. But people, they just stalk him. And honestly, I don't know if I would really want that life. He has, everything he wants in life, and boy, what a wine guy. He knows more about wine than
Well, he has everything he wants except freedom to move around, right?
Exactly. So, but my gosh, if you ever get to meet this guy, one of the nicest guys in the world, and hey, Johnny, if you're listening out there, we love you, guy. Yeah, he's just an amazing individual, I tell you. But Bob, I tell you, I'm really excited about October. We got the big release parties coming up, and of course, Linda at Terra Roja we always go to. But that particular weekend, October 3rd, there's so much going on in Napa Valley. Another great winery, Hyde de Villaine, and it's Peter Hyde and Alberta Villaine. Alberta Villaine, of course, is the winemaker for Roman and Conte. Probably the most greatest winemaker in the world. Definitely my favorite wine in the world. Peter Hyde is married to, I believe, the sister of Alberta Villaine, and they created the wine in Napa. It's called Hyde de Villaine. They make a Chardonnay. They just came out with a Pinot, of course, finally, but they do make like other reds. And it was funny because, you got the top Pinot producer in the world. Why aren't you making Pinot? They finally are releasing some Pinots, so I'm excited about that. But they have their release party October 3rd as well, and it's from 1 to 4. So if you're interested and if you're going up for release parties that weekend in October, call the vineyard up, the winery up, and see if you can get into that release party because it is amazing. The winemaker's there. It's a lot of fun. And then afterwards, if there's room at the Terra Roja release party as well, that'll be an incredible day. But I tell you, I actually went online, Bob, and what else is going up through October 3rd and through the 5th, that incredible weekend? There's so much to do. There's a crush party at Centuri on October 3rd as well, right up there in St. Helena. There's a cooking class at Casa Luna, and that actually goes for 2 days. That's October 2nd and October 3rd. If you like music, and if you're a big Led Zeppelin fan, they have American Led Zeppelin. It's called Get the Lead Out. And I can guarantee you, Bob Cabral, the former winemaker at Williams-Salem, will definitely be there. I'm going to give him a call because I know he's going, and we may have to go there as well, just to hang back with Bob Cabral. He's one of the biggest Led Zeppelin fans there is. But Cliff Family Winery, they have, it's up in Pope Valley. They have a farm fest going on October 3rd as well. At Pejou, and we love Lisa Pejou. She comes down to the restaurant all the time. That's right there off of Highway 29 in Rutherford. They're having, it's called Everything's Better with Bacon. And it's a nice little cooking thing with the wines, and that'd be a lot of fun to go to. That's also October 3rd. We have the Napa Farms Market as well, and that's in Oxbow Public Market. And if you've never been there, that is such a fun little place. It's like a nice little farmers market area. They also have what they call Napa Farmers Market And you go out, you get fresh produce, and there's a lot of things going on. They have other events going on during that time as well. And that actually goes on all through the end of October. We have another. Now, if you've never been to Markham Winery, the gentleman that purchased Markham, he's kind of out there. He's having a Rolling Stone cover concert, and that actually goes all the way to the end of the year. I've been there a couple times. It's kind of eclectic, pretty bizarre stuff goes on at Markham, but it's a lot of fun. And if you're into the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, what a great weekend to go up. They're two of my favorite bands, Bob. And it's just that one weekend is going to be so much fun up at Napa Valley, and I can't wait to go up. And I hope you are coming with me, correct? I hope.
Well, the jury's still out on that, John. We've got some issues about it. We'll talk to you off the air about it. Okay.
But I tell you, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going up in Paso Robles as well. We have the Paso Robles Wine Weekend that is October 16th through the 18th, and you can explore more than 140 activities going up there. There's winemakers dinners, there's ceremonies, you can stomp grapes, there's barrel tastings, there's food and wine pairing, there's live music and much more going up there. So if you're not able to get up to Napa that first weekend in October, the 16th and the 18th, there's a lot of stuff going up in Paso Robles as well, which is maybe 3.5 hours drive up there. And October starts finally to cool down there, so it's a great time to go up in Paso Robles as well. But if you are interested in Napa Valley that weekend, you can go to events.visitnapavalley.com, and you can get all the information, what is going on that weekend, all the release parties, all the special events. And I tell you, it's going to be so much fun. But do get up there, get your room reservations now because it will fill up. That's going to be a crazy weekend up there in Napa Valley.
Sounds like you are already foaming at the mouth, young man.
Oh, Bob, I tell you, that has to be the best weekend to go. You're kind of still in the harvest. Harvest is probably going to start around September time. They probably start doing like Sauvignon Blancs and so forth, and you'll be at the end of harvest for Cabernets. It's been warm up there, so they're probably going to pick a little early. It all depends on the weather, of course, but so you get to see a lot of stuff going on. Everybody's up there. It's so active, and I tell you, Bob, probably one of the best areas to go out to have dinner. So many incredible restaurants. I mean, you have, Mustard's right there on Highway 29. We love Reds in Yountville. And, of course, the marquee restaurant is, of course, the French Laundry, if you can get in. You usually got to make reservations about 3, 4, 5 months in advance just to get in there. It is quite the experience. But there's so many. I mean, Thomas Keller has Bouchon up there as well, which is a much more casual restaurant. And, you got the Press, Leslie Rudd, of course, from Rudd, owns that. That's an incredible restaurant as well. Don Giovanni's. I can go on and on and on about restaurants up there, and you won't get a bad meal. It's just the culinary capital of the world on the West Coast, probably. So I am very excited, and I do hope that you can come up with us because
there's more restaurants than there is time to eat.
That's the thing. There's so much going on up that weekend. I mean, you can't absolutely do everything going on, so you kind of have to visit that website, see what's going on, and kind of pick and choose and take that route because, I mean, there's no way you can go to everything that's going on that weekend in just a few short days because it is just incredible. And as I said, that time of the year is the perfect time to go up. It gets a little hot now, of course, but October is cooling down. It's just so beautiful up in the Napa Valley area at that time. Perfect time to go, just right after the release party. Everybody's still up there. You get to taste barrel samples. It's a lot of fun. And I strongly suggest everybody, if you can get off that weekend, go up there and enjoy, because it's going to be amazing. It's just simply amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be great.
Well, buddy, we'll take a little break, and I figured, you know what, we're going to talk a little bit about champagne, because it is the festive bubbly drink that everybody does for weddings and parties. And we're going to give a little information on champagne. Of course, we'll do the wine pick of the week on our next segment.
And we'll be right back. We're talking to that little old wine drinker, John Hanson. He's talking about a fantastic event in Napa Valley. We'll be right back with John for more of this after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own John Hanson, that little old wine drinker. We're talking all about Napa Valley. John, you got the microphone, buddy.
Thanks, Bob. We'll go to, we talked about all the events going up in Napa Valley, and they do have great bubblies up in Napa Valley. Shandong, if you've never been to Shandong, definitely go to Shandong. It's an incredible experience, but they have an incredible restaurant there as well. But since it is, the summertime, champagne's a great thing, but also a lot of weddings go on, a lot of events, special parties, and of course, we love all different kinds of bubblies. When we were in Italy, Prosecco, where we sat on the rooftop at the hotel and just looked over, the port there, ships coming in and so forth to the Grand Canal, and we had a little Prosecco. And our good friend Franco, of course, from the White House. And I do also wanted to mention, I don't know, did you get the letter from Bruno that they're opening up, a kitchen in Long Beach to feed more kids?
Yes, I did.
In the Long Beach area.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, you know what? And you know what? And it's not just that, John. You talk about Bruno for just a moment. It's not just the 1,500 kids a day or an evening that he feeds out of the Anaheim White House. His program has expanded nationwide. Matter of fact, worldwide. They're using that as a model for a lot of programs just like that. And he has actually become a catalyst to making these things happen. And the fact that he's opening another one in Long Beach, it's just astounding. And you know what? His mother would be just so very, very proud of him.
She would, God bless her soul. And as I said, I wanted to mention that over the air too. And gosh, yeah, what a great guy. And Franco too. We love Franco, and of course he's going to say Franciacorta is the best bubbly in the world. But Franco, I'm sorry, champagne, of course, from France is the best sparkling wine bubbly there is. Now, of course, champagne can only be said in France, of course, in the Champagne area, but since they did take our grapes once that blight happened in France and replanted, they let us, if we wanted to put on the bottle, champagne. Also, Method Champenois. Back in '94, the law passed where most people now are putting Method Traditionnel or Method Classique. Method Champenois is basically just for the Champagne area. And in the United States, especially in California, we do respect the French. And 95% of every sparkling wine that comes out of California will say sparkling wine, not champagne. But there are other areas, and I kind of want to give a brief little synopsis on Champagne, a little history about it. There are 5 areas of Champagne. You have Montagne-de-Reims, which most of the high-end Champagne comes from. You have Val-de-Mar. You have Côte de Blanc, Côte de Suzanne, and the Arbre. There is 17 Grand Cru villages, and that's where the top stuff comes from. And there's 40 premier crus as well. Now, when they do make champagne, it's usually in a glass-lined or stainless steel tank. There is actually 3 top champagne producers that actually use natural oak, and that is Krug, Bollinger, and Alfred Gratton. You also see NV, which is non-vintage, and that can be a blend that contains an average of 40 or 50 different wines. It could be from as many as 10 different years as well. It's all up to the producer of that champagne. But there's also a few other, you would see a few other marks on a bottle of champagne. You may see CM, and this is actually very important because CM means Coop de Manipulants, which means the cooperative is actually making that champagne. So it's a co-op champagne. You also have NM, which is Négociant Manipulant, which means the wine is sold under the name of the house which it is made. So that own house is making the champagne, and that's one thing you definitely want to look for. You also have RM, which is Recollant Manipulant, which means the champagne is produced by the grower from his or her own grapes. That's also another item you definitely want to look for on the bottle. You also have Recollant Cooperative, which the grower is selling the champagne produced from the co-op. And in Burgundy and Champagne, there's a lot of co-ops, so you want to look out for that. The last little item is MA, and that's Marquis d'Artier, which means the champagne has been brought from a producer and sold under another name. So kind of key little items that you want to look for on French champagne. But to make champagne, they actually pick the grapes at a little higher acid. The Brix ain't as high because it goes through a second fermentation. And during the second fermentation, it's in a glass liner, and then they put it in the bottle, would make the actual wine in the glass or stainless steel liner, and then put it in the bottle, and they add the yeast. The yeast is called, well, it's actually a combination of a little yeast and a little tannins, and that is called liquor de tirage. And during a 3 to 4 week process, the second fermentation takes place. Now, back in the older days, they used to have what they called the Riddler, who used to just spin the bottles a quarter turn, every once in a while. Now they have what they call a gyro pilot. That is this big mechanical machine that actually does it for them. And believe it or not, the Riddler used to be one of the most highest paid people at the winery because it was so time consuming and you had to just do it at the right angle and so forth. So what happens once the second ferment takes place, you have the dead yeast cells and so forth, and as you turn it, it slowly goes to the top of the bottle. And the dead yeast cells from the second fermentation, what they do, they freeze it and they pop it out, and the pressure from the second fermentation pops out the frozen dead yeast cells, which is remoulage. That's what the French call it. Now, of course, the bottle is going to have a little less champagne in it, so they have to top it off what they call a dosage. And the dosage can be a little more sugar, it could be just a little more of the same champagne. They can put a little something else, like maybe a little brandy, anything in it through this disgorgement process. And then they cap it, they put the cork in it, and then it's ready to be sold. Now, different producers, they make different kinds of wine, champagnes, if you will, and it all depends on the degree of sugar. They can make a sweet champagne, like a demi-sec or a demi-doux, which is 8% to 10% residual sugar in the wine. You have what they call extra sec, which is about 3% sugar. You have brut. Now, brut can be anywhere from 1 to 1.5 on the sugar. And then you got brut natural or natural, which is 0 to 0.6 on the residual sugar. Now, of course, you also have different size bottles. And in Bordeaux, they're similar, but there's a little variation with champagne bottles. You do have the Magnum, which is exactly the same. It's a 1.5 liter, which is 2 bottles of 750. You have a Jeroboam, which is 4 bottles or 3 liters. You have a Remaboom, which is 4.5, which is discontinued. So if you can find one of those bottles, that is very rare. Get it, because it's very important. Now, you have an Imperial, which is 6 liters, which is a Methuselah in Bordeaux, which is 6 liters, which is 8 bottles. A Salmanazar, which is 9 liters or 12 bottles, and of course you have a Nebuchadnezzar, which is 15 liters or 20 bottles.
That's
and
the one I want.
They're very rare, Bob.
That's the one I want, though. That ought to be.
Yeah.
Put a nipple on that sucker and let me have it.
You'd be very happy. You'd be very happy, of course. Now, there's two people I do want to mention. That, of course, is Madame Clicquot, and she's the one that actually invented riddling. She actually turned her dining room table upside down, drilled holes in it, and put the champagne bottles and started turning them to get the deadly yeast cells down to the cap. So we have to honor her for actually riddling. But of course, Dom Perignon, the cellar master at the Abbey, back in 1670, I want to say 1670 to 1715, I think he lived from. But he was actually the inventor of Method Champenois. And back then, I don't know if you noticed, on a champagne bottle, they have what they call a punt. And that's like a little indentation at the bottom of the bottle because it needs to be a little thicker glass because the pressure in the champagne bottle used to explode out the back. And I want to say that I believe, don't quote me on this, but it was only like about 20% of the bottles actually survived during the early days.
Wow.
Because the pressure would just explode out. And then they started making bottles with these punts with extra thick glass at the bottom so the bottom wouldn't explode out. But just a little history on champagne. And, you have Blanc de Blanc, another name you see on a champagne bottle, and that's with 100% of white grapes. And the only white grape in Champagne is Chardonnay. You also have Pinot Meunier and Pinot Noir, where you get the rosés from. That's basically all the information you need on the bottle, which you really need to look at. But how much time do we have, Bob?
We got 3 minutes.
Fit in the wine of the week?
Yep, we got 3 minutes, John.
Oh, awesome. Maybe next week I want to start doing a segment called What's Hot and What's Not. And
that's
it's
cool.
Basically what I have tasted during the week when I thought was incredible and what wasn't. But I tell you, one of my favorite wines I just fell in love with is the 2005 Bois Contenac. It's from Margaux, so it's a third growth. And we sell it on our wine list for about $2.25 a bottle. If you can get it online, you can probably get it under $100 a bottle. And my gosh, this thing is just drinking such amazing right now. It is just peaking. For 05, I thought it would be young, but it is just amazing. But the wine pick of the week, and once again, I am not promoting Costco, but you can get this wine at Costco. Yes, you are. You can get this wine at Costco for around $30. It's the Provence Cabernet. And I tell you, the winemaker was the old winemaker at La Jolla. And it is amazing for $30 a bottle at Costco. Go out and buy it. It tastes like a $100 bottle of wine, and that's our new wine that we just enjoy every night now. They actually have a special at Costco where I think it was about $26 a bottle, but unfortunately that is off. But it's still, with tax, just right around $30 a bottle. You will enjoy this immensely. It is amazing.
So what you're saying is you're spending $200 a week as your wine budget for just red wine, right?
Well, I tell you, if you have $200 a week, go out and buy a case of that that Provence, because it is amazing. It is amazing. But I mean, if you have a little more money, you may want to try that 2005 Bois Contenac from Bordeaux, because that is just drinking exceptionally. But it's going to be a little harder to find. You can go to most of Costco's. As I say, what's strange about Costco, Bob, is that you go to one Costco, there's different wines. You go to another one, so you kind of have to travel around. But the three Costco's I usually go to, they all have the Provence Cabernet there for basically $30 a bottle. And
okay, so you need to admit it. What you do is you buy them out. You buy what they have at each of the stores, so that when people go there based on your recommendation, there's none left, right?
Well, I try my best, but there's still quite a bit of that Provence Cab out there. So go out and get it before I go buy it, okay? All right, buddy. Well, I'll talk to you soon. We got to have another lunch, and hopefully we can maybe do a show up there in Napa in October, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds good, John. Hey, this was a great show. I really appreciate it. And, give that lovely wife of yours a hug and a kiss from me, will you?
And you do the same for me, buddy.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, John. Now, okay. Don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the birthdays for today, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:39 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 91 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what today is, right? August the 17th, and it's somebody's birthday. And you know what? This is somebody we all know, and you're just gonna be kind of tickled with it. He was born in 1786, died in 1836. You know, he was a celebrated 19th century American folk hero, a frontiersman, a soldier, and a politician. Happy birthday, Davy Crockett. Yeah. And here's another guy shares this birthday with him, only he was born in 1943, an actor, a director, and producer who won 2 Academy Awards and is regarded as one of the greatest and most influential actors of all time. Happy birthday, Robert De Niro. And then finally, born in 1960, he's an American film actor and director and political activist, known occasional anchor bursts coming out of him. Happy birthday to Sean Penn. Now, what's happened today in history on August the 17th? 1980, Azaria Chamberlain disappears, likely taken by a dingo, leading to what was then the most publicized trial in Australian history. And in 1982, the first compact discs, those are CDs, were released to the public in Germany. And August 17th, 2008, by winning the men's 4x100-meter medley relay, Michael Phelps becomes the first Olympian to win 8 gold medals in the same Olympics. Wow, what an accomplishment, right? Well, our quote for today comes from Oliver Wendell Holmes, and he says, "It is the province of knowledge to speak, and it is the privilege of wisdom to listen." Wow, isn't that profound? We have some good stuff here, but that was really good. Well, let's talk about the secret daily teachings for your life. And you've heard me say it over and over and over again. I'm going to say it again today. It's all about a positive mental attitude. Well, today's secret is whether you have been aware of your thoughts in the past or not, now you're becoming aware. Right now, with the knowledge of the secret, you are waking up from a deep sleep and becoming aware. aware of the knowledge, aware of the law, aware of the power you have through your own thoughts. Yeah, the positive mental attitude, what it's all about. Well, let's talk about the Harvard Business Tip of the day. And the management tip today is to get people's attention, cut to the chase. You know, with people being constantly bombarded with requests, it can be tough to get your colleagues' attention. That's why it's important to cut to the chase about what you need someone to do, when, and why. Whether you're sending an email, making a presentation, or talking to your boss. Start with what you want. Provide the most important information right up front and ask for what you need. John, I need your advice about the product launch. Or set the scene. Provide just enough context so the audience can follow along. And to refresh your memory, the event we have planned is. And how about this? Explain the reason. What prompted you to deliver the message? We need to figure out how to motivate the vendor to meet marketing's deadline. And then finally, connect to the big picture. Why should your audience even care? This is a critical step toward meeting our unit's goal of 65% customer retention. Now, doesn't that make sense? Of course it does. You know, business isn't so complicated. It's not so tough. It's just really a lot of common sense. All right, time for our interesting but useless facts. And you know what? I want to get those going right now. Did you know that more than half the population of Kenya is under the age of 15? Think about that. That's astounding. Wow. Did you know that Steven Spielberg calls Gwyneth Paltrow Gwynnie the Pooh? You know, you try it. See if you get away with that. Did you know that most digital alarm clocks ring in the key of B flat? Don't know why, but that's what it is. How about this? A shark is the only fish that can blink with both eyes. There you go. That figures out. By the way, did you know that a shark, when it attacks you, actually closes its eyes because it's worried about its prey battling back and poking it in the eye? So they protect their eyes that way. Did you know that in England, it is illegal to leave baggage unattended? Well, same way at the airports these days. So that's not so, that's anywhere in England, but certainly at airports. You know, reindeer like to eat bananas. Does that mean we're related? God, I hope not. Anyway, did you know that on average, we lose 11 ounces of weight while we're asleep at night? 11 ounces? You know, there's only 16 ounces in a pound, so that's quite a bit of weight if you think about it. How about this? You know that cattle are the only mammals that are retromingent? That means they pee backwards. You got to learn. You got to know some of these things, guys. Come on. You know, it's not just who you know. It's what you know. Matter of fact, it's not even what you know. It's what you know about who you know. That's what gets the world going around here. Did you know that the word democracy is banned in online chat rooms in China? There's one for you. How about this? The average person spends 30 years mad at a family member. Wow. That's sad, don't you think? Here's one for you. In 1947, heavy snow blanketed the Northeast, burying New York City under 25.8 inches of snow in 16 hours. The severe weather was blamed for some 80 deaths. 1947. That's the year my wife was born. How about this? Did you know that every man in Brainerd, Minnesota, is required by law to grow a beard? Well, I'd be okay with that. I have a beard, you know. How about this one? Did you know that Benjamin Franklin lived at 141 Market Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? That's where he lived. How about this? Experiments have shown that ants are capable of lifting 50 times their own weight and pulling loads 300 times their own weight. Now, think about that. If you're a 100-pound weakling, that means you can lift 5,000 pounds. Wow. If you were an ant. Can you imagine? How about this? Did you know Deborah Winger did the voice of E.T.? I find that kind of interesting. And then the first seeing eye dog was presented to a blind person on April the 25th, 1938. And then finally, did you know that barbers are forbidden by law from shaving a man's chest in Omaha, Nebraska? Now, give that some thought, and don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to be answering your emails. The first one comes from Janine Scarlett from Ames, Iowa, asking about an adjusted home sales price. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:51 p.m. Pacific Time. Still 91 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, we're coming down to the wire, so it's time for our to answer your emails. And as usual, I'm going to always tell you that, before you go out and do anything, consult a licensed professional before you do anything. They're going to save you more money than they cost you, and you'll be glad you did, because they have errors and omissions insurance as a requirement of their licensing, which means if they give you bad advice, They pay the piper, not you. Let you sleep at night and not be frustrated or worried. Now, let's get right to our emails. First one comes from Janine Scarlett from Ames, Iowa, asking about adjusted home sales price and writes, before closing on the purchase of a home, we found some defects that the seller promised to make good. Rather than delay the sale to fix them or change the sales price, he sent me a check for $7,000 after the sale. Is this taxable to me? So that's a good question, Janine. Here's the thing. The payment to you is an adjustment to the sales price, so it's not taxable to you, but reduces your cost basis in the home. It's cost to you for tax purposes when computing gain or loss on its future sale. Now, any amounts that you spend to improve the home by fixing the defects will increase your basis in it. So let me give you an example. Let's just say if you bought the home for $200,000, that $7,000 payment to you reduces your basis in it down to $193,000. That's the $200,000 minus the $7,000. If you spend $6,500 of that $7,000 on fixing the defects, your cost basis in the house will increase to $199,500. That's the $193 plus the $6,500. So keep records documenting what occurred, and you'll be just fine with that. Well, next email comes from Morgan Agra from Torrington, Connecticut, asking about a reasonable salary and says, can I avoid paying myself the reasonable salary that corporations must pay their owners if I set my business up as a partnership? Morgan, here's the thing. It's not the owners of a corporation who must take a reasonable salary, but the owner employees, and those owners that also work for the corporation. The owners of a private corporation are likely to work for it, but any who don't will receive only dividends and not salaries. Now, partnerships are different. Partners don't receive salaries, even if they work for the business. They receive draws, which can be set at zero. General partners are subject to self-employment tax, which is the equivalent of Social Security and Medicare for self-employed individuals, regardless of whether they participate in that business activity or not. And next email comes from Bella Aguilar, from Downey, California, asking about inheritance from abroad, and says, let's see here. My wife expects to receive a large inheritance from a relative in a foreign country. Does the IRS have any special tax rules that apply to inheritances from abroad? Well, here's the thing, Bella. An inheritance received from abroad is tax-free to the recipient just as any other inheritance would be. However, reporting requirements apply to certain bequests, gifts, and trust distributions from abroad. Now, your wife may be required to file Form 3520, that's the annual return to report transactions with foreign trusts and receipt of certain foreign gifts, or Form 3520-A, which is the annual information return of foreign trust with a U.S. owner. Keep in mind, penalties for failing to do this can be really steep, and criminal penalties may even apply here. Excuse me. So check with a tax professional before you go too far with this thing. You always want to make sure you're on the right side of it. Excuse me. I don't know why I got a cough going on here. My last email today comes from Catherine Ariza from Sheridan, Colorado, asking about IRA contributions, and says, if I retire at the end of January, will I be able to make a deductible IRA contribution for this year, or next year, And the answer to the question is yes. The IRA contribution limit increases to $5,000 and to $6,000 for people that are 50 years old and older. Now, for both traditional and Roth IRAs. Now, this is $1,000 more than it used to be. Having earned income for next year, the 2016, can enable you to contribute as much as that limit or the amount that you actually earn, whichever is going to be less, to an IRA. If you earn income only in January, you're unlikely to reach any of the income limits that restrict high earners from making IRA contributions. But check the details and other eligibility requirements in IRS publication 590. That's Individual Retirement Arrangements. You'll be glad that you did that. And always, as I said, check with a licensed professional. You'll be glad you did that. They'll give you peace of mind. They'll give you the right answer. And you know what? And they'll probably save you a lot more money than what they actually cost you. Now, I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Roar 1776 Radio, Live 365 Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and on 405 Media Radio Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Time Monday through Friday. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com, where I get all the emails that I deal with here on the show. On my next show, my expert contributor is going to be Suzette Mailer with her series, The IFAB Travel Corner. My special guest is Sean LaFave with his series, Geared for Wellness. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed producing it for you. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Time for another installment of Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. In the meantime, I want you to stay safe. I want you to be happy, and I want you to have a great, great time. And again, don't forget to join me again tomorrow. In the meantime, I want you to have a wonderful evening and good night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.